Welcome back, everybody, to Quid Prog Quo, the musical podcast where I introduce my friends and loved ones to progressive rock music, and they in turn get me to listen to, well, whatever they want. And we have the recurring guest of Stephanie back with us today. Stephanie is getting me to listen to some mid 2000s surfer boy band pop rock. That's a mouthful. And I'm getting her to listen to one of progressive rock's ultimate I guess masterpieces, even though it didn't really start off that way. So really excited to dive in and chat to you guys about that. And as always, I want to send a huge thank you to Alana Alinsky for designing the show's graphic, as well as Explosive Ear Candy for their song All Together Now, which is the soundtrack to today's and all podcasts. So without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. There we go. Because I got the premium version of Zoom, so it allows you. Well, I think it announces things regardless now, but because I have the big, expensive version of Zoom, I can record either on the cloud or on my computer. So yeah, I'm I'll keep it on my computer for now.
Nobody wants you in here, Kat.
Well, it looks like the cat's coming in anyway.
She has arrived.
She has arrived. I saw the tail come in. So,
yeah. That's my cat.
That's your cat. So welcome back, Stephanie.
Hello.
Hello. Glad to have you back with your friend.
She's happy to be here. I should close you out of this room, Cat.
Probably, but whatever.
No, I'm gonna do it.
All right.
What she deserves.
Yeah, this is what you get. So I mean, I'm super stoked to have you back on. One of my favorite people in the whole wide world.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited for you to come on board. Is it your fourth appearance on here?
I want to say yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're
I want to say yeah.
The most on here. Yeah. So
wow, now.
Number 4. And you've liked a few of the albums that I've given to you so far?
Definitely not the last one. But
what, you didn't like the Shags?
No, can't say I did.
That was a masterpiece.
I didn't mind some of them.
Yeah, because I think you liked Deaf Haven.
I think so.
Yeah,
probably
the metal ones.
They weren't yelling. Yeah,
they were good. Yeah,
but overall, it's not my cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea. Well, it's okay, because this week I've got you an album that was originally supposed to be a satire of progressive rock, which backfired and actually became one of the highest well-received progressive rock masterpieces.
My.
Yeah, and it's from a band that you know and you enjoy. So
okay.
that's the little tease that I'll give before we dive right into it.
Oh, lovely.
Because I was racking my brain over what to give you, and I was actually going to give this album to you way back in the winter.
Okay.
And then I decided, because I was listening to a lot of Deaf Haven, I'm I'll give her Deaf Haven, and then next time around I'll give her this. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm interested to know what you've got lined up for me this time. Because I know you were saying that you, no, I need to figure out something to give to you. So I'm excited to see what you landed on.
It's a toss up between 2 albums, same band, but 2 albums.
Okay.
Either they've been together. This one band's been together since 2014. They just dropped an album last year, but I'm either going to make you listen to their very, very first one.
Okay.
Or their third album, because the third album has a special place. Right. Because let's just set the stage of me, you, and Alexi going to a movie and me refusing to watch Mission Impossible. So I dragged you to this amazing movie that this band made the soundtrack for.
I think I know what you're talking about.
So the band I'm going to make you listen to, they're called McFly.
Yep.
And they did the soundtrack to Just My Luck, which is an amazing movie starring Lindsay Lohan and Chris Pine. But I'm going to let you choose. You can either listen to the third album, which is I think it's just the first album in the States, which is a combination of their first two albums, or I can make you listen to the first album.
So what you're saying, I can listen to a compilation of two albums, or I can listen to one.
Yeah,
I will go for the one.
Oh, you don't want to have like the nice like memories of watching that movie?
The only thing I remember from that movie, I don't remember the plot.
No.
Because I don't think there was a plot.
It definitely was a plot. There was a band from England who Chris Pine was the manager. I have no idea what Lindsay Lohan's character was.
Right.
All I remember is that the band played in a bowling alley and Chris Pine was their manager. And the band was McFly.
Right. That's still not a plot, though. The only thing I remember from that movie was the entire time I kept thinking that Lindsay Lohan looked orange. And like that was a choice. Yeah, I think that was like the first of her like kind of downfall from Grace.
I think
which is a little bit of a shame.
Was kind of like that's when she was like hitting the drugs a little harder.
Yeah. Which is a shame, because like she was really good in like The Parent Trap and The Love Bug.
Yes, like this I think was also Chris Pine's like pre-Princess Diaries 2. So people were still like, who's Chris Pine?
Who is this guy? Yeah, because he wasn't Captain Kirk for like another 5 years, I think.
Oh God, more like 10. Like this movie came out in 2006.
Yeah, but didn't
First Star Trek came out.
I was gonna say, I think Star Trek came out in 2009.
Let's just Google
this
has nothing to do with music.
Yeah, Star Trek movie. 2009, yeah.
Okay. So
few years.
And maybe it was shortly around the time of the Princess Diaries too.
Yeah, he was kind of up and coming. Completely different tangent, but put a pin in this that I found out
important.
that it is important. There's a Star Trek role-playing game.
Ooh.
Like a brand new one that just came out. So we're gonna put
Who cares about Prague? Let's talk about that instead.
Maybe I'll have you on my other channel, my Notes on Tabletop role-playing games, where we'll talk about the Star Trek role-playing game. But we'll put a little pin in that. So McFly.
Yes, McFly.
Okay. So they're a UK band then?
They are, yeah. They're from the States. I think they were almost how do I like they were almost produced. Like they were almost like I'm gonna take you and we're gonna make a band.
Okay.
But they didn't. I mean they started that way, but then they did not get into the band that they were producing, so that they made their own band.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and as I said, they've been together since 2004. I think when they released their first album, which you've decided to listen to, and not the masterpiece that is the soundtrack to Just My Luck. I think they were like 19, 20. Now they're like our age. So
wow. But like I know that's pretty common in the music industry, where like either producers or like members of not bands, like people that had tried out for a band but couldn't get into a band, like the record company and other producers would see this and then create a band out of those.
Well, that's like One Direction. I think they all auditioned for the X Factor, which is like the British Got Talent or whatever, and Simon Cowell's like, you guys, I'm gonna make a band, and look how that got them.
Yeah, because I think the same
not a band anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who else had that.
Backstreet Boys.
Well, yeah, I mean a lot of boy bands kind of came out that way.
Pretty much all boy bands.
Yeah,
are like that. Yeah. Like at least McFly, the main singer, he pretty much writes all their music. So, and they play their own instruments. So it's not like a stereotypical boy band. They're still a boy band because I don't care who you are. Boy bands are boy bands if they're singing about girls and love and that kind of thing. Even if you write all your own songs, you do your own instruments, you are a boy band if your main audience is preteen girls.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of some of like the bigger bands, because I know a lot in the 80s were done by producers that just wanted to be in a band but could never find their way in. But anyway, so I'm listening
another
to
tangent
that we'll talk about some other day. So we are listening to, or at least I'm listening to, so this is McFly, and is it M-I-C?
It's like they named themselves after Marty McFly, so MCFLY.
Okay, MCFL. McFly. Okay.
Yeah.
And they definitely look like a boy band. And I'm listening to, they put out an album last year.
They did. It's actually a pretty good album, but I want you to listen to their first one, which is, I know the name of it.
Sony Contest Set?
Room on the Third Floor. That's their first album.
Okay, let's see here.
Look at that masterpiece of a cover art.
There it is. Oh, that is very like early 2000s. Yep. That's glorious. Is what that is. Okay. Yeah. Fun.
Now this is when you have to this is when you need to cut it so people can see it.
I'll just superimpose it somewhere around here.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So do you want to hear the album that I have for you?
Yes, please.
Okay. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this was originally conceived to be a satire of the concept album. The album that they released, this is their 5th album. I'm dropping all these clues so that those who are listening can be like, I know what album he's talking about. This is their 5th studio record. Their 4th studio record, a lot of people were saying it was a concept album, and you can make a case that their 4th album was a concept album, but the lead singer songwriter thought that it really wasn't, and so he wanted to kind of shove it back in their face and being like, if you want a concept album, I'll give you a concept album. So this is from a very UK band by the name of Jethro Tull.
Oh, okay.
So
I know one song from them.
Which one? I gotta know. Was it
I don't know. Jungle? I have no idea. I've just heard the one with the pan flute. What's that?
Well, I mean, Ian Anderson plays the flute all the time. That's his kind of claim to fame.
There's one Jethro Tull song I've heard. It used to be played on the radio. That's what you get for listening to old-timey radio stations.
I'm pretty sure the one you're talking about is Bungle in the Jungle. Or it's Bungle
I've heard that one then too.
In the Jungle.
No.
Well, that's popular. All right by me.
No, I'm gonna go Google.
I'm a tiger when I want love.
What's your popular song, Jethro Tull?
I'm pretty sure Bungle in the Jungle is one of their biggest ones. Aqualung is their other big one. That was the one that came out on their 4th album.
Don't know. That's annoying because I've definitely heard something.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, they created this album. The album's called Thick as a Brick. I may have played it for you in the past. And so it was kind of upon release. Ian Anderson, the big guy from this band, he's the main flautist, singer, songwriter. He wanted it to be kind of like a spoof of those concept albums. This was released in 1973, I think it was 1972, recorded in 1971. And at this point, progressive rock was really taking off. You already had the inductions of Genesis and Yes and Emerson, Lake and Palmer doing these, and even Pink Floyd doing these tracks that were 20 minutes long, taking up a full album side, and they decided to do that, but to the ridiculous degree. So this album is just one track. It's just the title track of Thick as a Brick. And what I think is pretty interesting and fun is that they followed this up the next year with a passion play, which does the same thing, but they kind of like they saw, and again, I'm speculating here, like I don't have an ear to the ground of what was going on in the recording studio.
Well, you weren't alive, so.
Well, there's also that. But like where Thick as a Brick was much more of a attempt to be satire to the progressive rock movement. Whenever you're doing satire, you always run the risk of people taking it seriously, and that's what happened. Because people took it seriously. They thought, oh wow, they're going, progressive rock, this is amazing, and it is now one of the staple progressive rock albums in our community. So they followed it up with a passion play, which does the exact same thing, and instead of trying to satirize it, they leaned into it. And it's much more of an actual concept album with spiritual journey into the afterlife, and it explores like themes of like morality and what's good, what's evil, what is religion in the afterlife. But anyway, that's a little bit of a tangent. We're talking about Thick as a Brick.
I was gonna be like the album I made you listen to. I'm gonna make you listen to. It's British teenagers trying to do surfer rock.
Which is fine. That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah,
I mean, I will say that their first album and their last album, like the progression is like so different, like of what they started off as what they're doing now, because they're pretty much just like a rock band, or
right,
as much as you can become a rock band. I
was gonna say more of like an adult contemporary from like kind of so, like I was surprised when you started talking about McFly. I thought you were going to have me listen to Hanson.
No, I mean one of their newer albums actually pretty good.
Yeah.
But no, McFly.
But because I know that you've listened to McFly before, and I think you may have even made me listen to the McFly. So this will be an interesting kind of comparison of tracks and music.
So am I just listening to like one song?
Yeah, essentially.
Random question. When they released it, was what was on the B-side? Was it still the same song?
It was the same side. So you just had part 1 and part 2.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, if you just search for Thick as a Brick, there's a couple versions of this because obviously, so anyone will do. Just be sure that you stop listening because most of them have like bonus stuff that you don't really need to care about. Yeah. Because there's like the 40th anniversary edition that has like all these other tracks to it, or just like the regular version that has a couple more tracks to it. If you go to the 40th anniversary, it splits them all up into individual like segments.
Can I find just like the one song and just listen to it and not the album? Does that count too?
That is the album. That's the thing.
I know, but like, you know how like you can like look up the song and it's like a single versus the album.
Yeah. Well, what they did when they were promoting this is like you have like radio editions, right? And even when they play it live, like when they were first touring it, they would play it in its entirety. But then as they got more and more tracks and more songs, now they basically just play like the radio friendly, because you have like the radio friendly 3-minute version, the radio friendly 11-minute version. That
probably is the one I've heard then, because I'm like, why does this sound familiar?
Yeah, maybe. It is like kind of one of their more popular ones, like this and Aqualung are like their 2 big ones. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Thick as a Brick part 1 and part 2, 1997 remaster.
There you go.
The one I have so chosen.
That is the one you have so chosen. So essentially for that one, you have the first half, which is on the one side. You flip the album over, and then you have part 2 on the other side. So
no.
Yeah. I don't give this to anybody. I figured you have, a master.
I have a special place in your heart to
You do.
Like
Yeah. I don't give the big 40-minute tracks just to anybody. So
I don't know if I should thank you for this or just like I don't know, just be like, God damn it, Michael.
Oh boy. Okay, well, I'll see you after you listen to Thick as a Brick, and I'll listen to good old McFly.
I mean, you'll enjoy it.
I hope so.
Let's hope so. I enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. And with that, Stephanie and I go into our own musical silos to experience one another's music. I get to listen to McFly, and she gets to listen to Jethro Tull. I'm pretty excited to hear what Stephanie has to say about Jethro Tull, and you should be pretty excited about what I've got to say about McFly. And as always, I want to send out a huge thank you to all of my patrons who have supported me. If you want to be cool, head on over to my Patreon. It's Patreon/Notes Reviews. And you can be cool like some of these people. I want to give a huge shout out to Gabe Gillian. He is one of my new patrons, as well as Lucas Hartman is the newest of the recruits on the Patreon/Notes Reviews. They've donated enough. Both will be getting and have gotten a live stream, as well as soon to get a full-on album review. So a huge thank you to Gabe and Lucas. And if you want to be cool like these cool cats, head on over to my Patreon. That's Patreon/Notes Reviews. And with that, I think we're going to dive back in. Excuse me. We're going to head back into the podcast proper. Find out what Steph says about Jethro Tull and what I think about McFly. And if you haven't already, if you're listening to this on any of your podcast host sites or whatever, maybe leave a good comment or review. Give this some likes, some stars, or whatever that is that this has to kind of drive up the attention of this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, consider giving this a thumbs up and a subscribe, because I've got new episodes coming out every other Tuesday. So yeah, let's dive back into the episode proper, find out what I thought about McFly and what Steph thought about Jethro Tull. Hello.
Hello.
So how was that?
Not bad.
That's good. That's a good way to start.
Yeah, like out of all of the albums you have ever made me listen to, let's just actually narrow it down. From all the albums you've made me listen to on this podcast, this is probably the one that I actually liked. I don't know.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. All right. Yeah. So walk me through it a little bit. Tell me about it.
Not much to walk you through, pretty much. Had no idea what he was singing about half the time, and the parts that I did notice, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But like overall, it sounds like a very radio friendly song, even though it is like 44 minutes.
Yeah. The overall like concept of this one is that it's based off of like this child genius poem that they then set to music. So yeah, it's I think it's one of their more accessible stuff. I mean, Jethro Tull always was able to write like great accessible rock, and this was kind of their kind of semi foray into progressive rock music, even though, as I mentioned, they kind of did it tongue-in-cheekly. But yeah, it's and I forgot to mention at the beginning that the packaging of this was done up like a newspaper. So the album actually folded into itself so that you had the square, and then when you opened it up, you could flip it down to have the same dimensions of like a newspaper. And from what I heard, and the myth is that the actual newspaper itself, with all the different articles in it and all the different sections of it, took longer to do than the actual music on the album itself.
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense, because like they actually have to figure out how to make it work. Well, a song is just guy writes it. They write music. So.
The guy just writes it. That's what it is.
Yeah, But no, I found with like the problem with only listening to it once is that you can't like. I pulled up the lyrics because I'm like, I have no idea what this guy's singing about, because it's a lot, right?
It's a lot.
So like listening to it, I'm like, okay, those lyrics are like weird and interesting, but overall the music was good.
That's good.
I will say the only downside to this song is that it didn't have a like, you know how most pop music you can like you listen to it halfway and then you automatically know what the next lyrics are going to be, or you know the choruses, so you can sing along with it. You can't do that with this. There's no repetitiveness in it. Well, there's a couple lines, a couple sections that are repeated, but there's nothing that you can be like, damn, I love this song. Only heard it now, but I can sing every word. That's the problem.
And it's interesting because that's why so many people love this album and why they love progressive rock, because it's not that repetitive. Like, it doesn't have that same kind of song structure where once you get to the halfway mark in the song, you pretty much know the whole song at that point.
That's what makes pop music so great, because you can put it on, listen to, like, as I said, in the background, and then by the second like chorus or the second, you're singing along to it. That's what I love about music.
Right. This album has it to a certain degree, like that guitar riff of that doodly 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 doodly.
I hate to break it down to you, Michael, but I can't sing guitar.
You can't?
I can't. So unless I am going, who listens to a song and be like, this is the best part, let's sing along. Like, you can't.
A lot of people.
You can't sing along to instrumental music.
Sure you can. I mean, it's just a little bit more awkward and people look at you a little bit differently. That's all.
Yeah, just a wee bit.
It's like my favorite point from Supertramp's School is the keyboard solo where it's see, I'm singing along with it.
No, you're making noises. Not singing along.
Isn't that what music is at the end of the day? Just making noises that sound
at the end
good.
Of the day, yes. Music is just noises. I will give you that.
Yeah, but, and maybe I'm not necessarily singing, but I'm definitely scatting. You know, I'm doing some scatting. I'm the scat man.
Yeah, I mean, scatting is always great in its own, like, you know. And it's like proper song, proper area. But I'd rather actually sing to a song. I mean, badly, but I'd rather sing. But to go back to the song that you made me listen to,
yes,
as I said, I actually enjoyed it. There were parts that, and like, if this was like broken down into actual real songs, I could see this actually being like played on the radio, or you know, it depends on what radio station you're listening to, obviously. But I would listen to it again if you really want to, like, put a pin in it, you know, be like, what are your real thoughts? I'm like, sure, I'll listen to this album again,
right,
over any of the other albums you made me listen to. So
even the Shags.
Yeah. I hate to break it to you, but that's not a good album.
Oh man. Well, I'm glad that you at least enjoyed it, because I was afraid, because I do know how you listen to music and I could see how this song would have gotten on your nerves, but I also know that there's enough like poppy aspect to this and being like more accessible, more radio friendly, that you wouldn't immediately go and turn it off.
Yeah, like, I think the things that bother me the most are obviously the repetitiveness, but like, I didn't notice it as much because there was I didn't notice it had so many like instrumental sections and breaks of whatever, because there's so many lyrics to the song. Like, he's singing for 40 minutes. Like, so it's not like a lot of your other progressive rock where it's like 5 minutes of singing and then it's just like
10 minutes of playing, 40 minutes of playing.
Like this one, it was like maybe like all lyrics, maybe like not even a minute of just like instrumental, and then more. It's basically you're just listening to this guy ramble about, you know. But it is, he's singing the whole time. So I think because of that, it makes it feel not as imposing as a song, because
okay.
I don't know, maybe lyrics just make music make sense to me. Like, even if it's like, well, if you think about it, I don't even like a lot of like instrumental musics of like popular songs. So it's like, it could be a song I really enjoy with lyrics, but as soon as you take the lyrics away, I'm like, I'm bored with this. Like,
right. Yeah.
give me words.
Yeah, give me them words.
Yeah. So maybe that's why I didn't mind this, because there's a lot of words.
Right, because I do know, like, you're not a big fan of classical music because of that, and I wonder if somebody were to put lyrics to classical music, although now I'm just describing opera, but like if they were to put like more like actual lyrics and less like a rote,
probably.
maybe you might like those more.
Maybe. Like, the thing is, it's like, I don't mind popular classics, you know what I mean? Like, things that you like hear Beethoven all the time. Yeah. Or like Mozart, or like their popular stuff. You're like, okay, but I don't think I'd sit there and ever listen to like it from front to back, just like the whole thing, because I'd be like, I'm bored. Like,
outside of like maybe Fantasia.
Still kind of, but that was like a visual thing. You need to be watching it to actually. But I think it has more to do with the fact that, like, with lyrics, it makes you focus because you're trying to pay attention. Where with just classical music or just instrumental in general, it's like there's nothing to draw my focus. So
your brain is
so as I said, like, that's why I probably enjoyed this one, because there was lyrics the whole time. So even if I didn't know what they were saying, my brain was trying to process it and be like, okay, what's this line about, what's this chorus about? So it's like I had to pay attention to it, thus liking it a sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of get it. Now, did you pick up on the actual concept of the album at all?
No. I mean, as I said, okay. No.
Okay. That's fine. I
had to look up I ended up looking up what it was about.
Yeah.
So it's all about the kid who wrote a poem and then he was like disqualified from whatever.
Yeah.
So I understand that concept. I understand reading the lyrics, but like, again, this needs to have like a second or even the third listen to for me to actually properly figure out what the hell's going on.
Right. Yeah. And it will please you to know that in 2012 there was like a follow-up. There was Thick as a Brick Part 2. It was not under the Jethro Tull moniker, it was under the Ian Anderson moniker, like under his solo stuff. Because it's the thing is, it doesn't follow the same style as this album was, in that it's not one song, it's a whole bunch of songs kind of chopped up, and the whole concept of that album is like where the kid ended up. So yeah, it was an interesting album. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, I have the CD, but I never, got the actual.
Just the CD. Scandalous.
I know. So yeah, not necessarily his best work. But yeah, there was a follow-up. So
good to know. Just put that in like a little folder to never remember. But it'll be I was gonna say,
if you wanted to, you might end up liking it, because it is a little bit on the radio friendly side. Like, it's much more of like an adult contemporary rock than progressive rock. So
yeah, maybe I never know. Well, I'm glad. Like, overall, as I said, overall, I would put like a gold star, like, like, good work. I enjoyed it.
Good job. Gold star. Well, that's good.
Yeah. So that's a thumbs up for you on that album right there.
Awesome. And you know what? I'm kind of in the same boat for McFly. I'm kind of in the same boat for McFly, because even though the Bay City Rollers hold a very special place in my heart, I ended up really liking McFly. I can see how they are, like, if there's a Venn diagram between like early rock and roll of like the Turtles and like Buddy Holly and like all those like early
Yep.
and boy band. If there was like a
Yep.
Venn diagram, they'd be like right there in the center.
As I said, this album was very surfer rock.
It was.
They kind of lose it as the albums progress and they get older and they mature. But like this one, it's peak.
Sad.
Like it is very, very sad.
Very sad. Very sad.
But like, yeah, this is it does. It kind of reminds you of like the 60s and like the Beach Boy kind of vibe, but like trying to make it progressive in like 2000-ish. So
yeah, because
progressive.
There are a few tracks, like the opening track of oh geez, I should have the 5 colors in her hair, right?
Yeah.
It feels very of its time. It feels very like mid 2000s kind of rock. Like the
whole album feels mid 2000s.
It does. But that one in particular, I'm just like, wow, like I'm brought back to like Shoddy Doesn't Know and like all those like I'm just thinking of like that fun rock that at that point was very dominated by like the bubblegum punk of like the Blink 182 and the Sum 41, where if we had like the I'm trying to think of a good metaphor, the dirt, if you had the dirt that this grew out of, right?
Okay.
Where that
I'm following you so far.
Right. So if the dirt from those bands were the punk that this fun party expression came out of, the dirt for this would have been that surfer rock, that early rock and roll that this came out of. So the environment's the same, but the soil is different. And I enjoyed that. I enjoy that kind of fun, mid 2000s fun rock.
This is a good album it's a good driving album because it's like you're just like, it's like, oh, nice fun bops that you can like sing along to. It's not a lot of like, I'm not saying this is the best album. I'm not saying it's not good songs.
There are a few that I was just like, oofa doofa. This is a chore. This is a task. But okay, we're doing it.
I wouldn't call this like their peak writing style. But like listening to it, you just like sit there like Surfer, like their one song Surfer Babe. I'll just sit there and it's like as soon as it's on, I'm just like I can't not bounce to it.
Yeah.
Because it's so stupidly catchy, but it's a stupid song.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I really love the different harmonizations, not only within the notes, but between the notes, where they go from one note to another and sometimes starting in the major chord, dipping down into a minor and then back up again. I like that kind of note sequence. But I do enjoy a number of those just fun aspects. Like I wrote down Saturday Night and Down by the Lake. Those were all very fun tracks. My 2 favorite tracks though were obviously the second track as well as Unsaid Things is probably my favorite track.
The pretty much the slower song.
Yep.
They're good songs. But yeah, I'm more of like let's listen to like Surfer Babe and That Girl and 5 Colors in Her Hair. Like those are the good fast boppy songs versus the slow. Like I do really enjoy Obviously. It's a good song. But it's, as I said, this album it's a fun listen. It's not anything groundbreaking. It's not like, I think their most I don't want to say weird song, but I feel like the song that they were trying to do a little bit differently is their last song on that album called Broccoli. I feel like that
ended up loving. Surprise, surprise.
It's like it's their most different song, I think, from the rest of the album.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting song too.
Yeah. The other track that I really liked that I wrote down was Not Alone. It sounds, I think out of all those, the most modern. Like it sounds almost like something that would have been written today. Like it was a little bit more ahead of its time in comparison to the rest of the tracks on here. And I think I'm surprised that a lot of these tracks haven't migrated their way to like TikTok. Or if they have, I just haven't seen them yet. Because
I feel like
these lend themselves so well to so many different video ideas.
I think the problem with this is that our TikToks that we watch are more like not programmed. It's more like Canadian American kind of thing, right? Like you will get a random mixture from all over the world, but more often than not, it's like things that are from
your area.
Country.
Yeah.
Your area, your country. McFly, I don't think ever became popular in America.
Which
like
is
you'll like
it's go for
it. It's sad, Mike. Like you'll hear like sometimes in movies and stuff like that, I'll hear one of their songs, but it's not like a popular song, or it's not an important scene. It's just like background stuff.
Right.
So it's not like a lot of people like, oh, I like that song, let me look it up. So yeah, I don't think they ever really became overly popular in America. Like I think their attempt was Just My Luck, the movie, and I don't think anything ever really, because it's not like it was an Oscar-worthy film there.
Honestly, if it wasn't for you, I don't think I would have registered Just for My Luck, and I saw it. So I keep getting that, and it's so far removed. But whenever I think of Just My Luck, I always think it's Leap Year, even though I know that those are two. I know they're completely different. You couldn't get further away. But like for some reason, whenever I think Just My Luck, I'm always like, oh, well, that's Leap Year, right? That's the one where Amy Adams goes over to Ireland and meets Tumnus. I'm pretty sure that's the one.
It's not. She doesn't meet Mr. Tumnus. She meets the actor Matthew Good. It's not James McAvoy.
Oh yeah, those are different people too.
Don't even know you're Scottish actor.
Oh yeah. Wait, Scott?
No, Matthew Good is Scottish. I just know he's a British actor.
Okay.
Not anywhere close.
Not anywhere close.
The closest, it's Lindsay Lohan and Amy Adams has red hair. That's the only connection.
Yeah, okay.
Out of either of those movies.
That's true. Oh boy.
But yeah, as I said, going back to good old McFly. Yeah, I think that was supposed to be their breakout, because I think they were like 1920 when the album came out. So I think it's either their manager or whatever is probably like, yeah, like this movie needs a band. You guys aren't doing anything. This will be your breakout. This will be your breakout in America, and people will love it. And
people did not.
I loved it.
Well, yeah, there's probably, and I'm sure that there's quite a few individuals who did. Like it isn't just the Stephanie Club. So
I don't know.
It could be. I don't know.
It very much could be. But yeah, so you have that whole thing going on with them. So as I said, they've been together for close to 20 years.
I was gonna say, yeah, if their first, like from what I saw, their first EP was like 2003. So we're coming up to their, in a couple of years now, their 20th anniversary. I'm surprised that they didn't, because on paper, you would assume that type of a band would have made it really popular in the Americas. Like,
yep, you would think so.
Like surfer rock, that fun time, that should have folded very well in the scene, especially in the mid 2000s, where bands like Sum 41 and Blink 182 were starting to kind of do a downturn, and we were hungry for an upturn of something like that.
But at the same time, around that time, emo was really big.
Yeah,
like
and
Panic at the Disco,
My Chemical Romance.
Boy.
Yeah. Like I feel like this is like counterculture to that in a very stark way, where emo and that was very emotive, very this is how I feel, very let's not have a good time, let's start crying. And this was the exact opposite, where it's like, life is great, life is grand, let's have a good time, right? Like,
but at the same time, we are also looking at this from our kind of like Canadian American kind of perspective. So it's like what our music was at that time doesn't mean that's what it was in England. So maybe it's just it could have just been the wrong album at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And it just didn't flow
didn't quite
like
translate.
Land properly. Yeah.
That's a real shame.
I don't care.
I would listen to McFly over Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco any day. So.
Oh, that's so sad, Michael. They're all great.
I mean, yeah.
They're all great, Michael.
Sure.
Listen to me, looking in the eye. They are all great.
Sure. Oh boy. So yeah. Well, thank you for taking me on that romp. That was a fun time.
I think if you enjoyed that album, you should just listen to all of their albums and experience that joy that I listened to. Yeah. Oh, come on. You said you liked it.
I did, but I didn't say, oh, if you like this, you should listen to all of Jethro Tull's, 25 albums. But you should.
My McFly's discography is just a little bit shorter than that.
Yeah, because how many albums does Jethro Tull have? Let me see here. Jethro Tull, because I've got their Wikipedia.
It's a lot.
They just kept going, right? Like they've never really stopped. So
kudos to them. Yeah. Kudos to them as a band, I guess.
2, 3. Oh, I shouldn't say that. The last album they put out was 2003, which was their Christmas album. But like Ian Anderson has continued on from there. But you've got, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21 albums.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, which is interesting because I believe they won for Best Metal Album and beat out Metallica for Crest of a Knave. I can't remember if it was the Grammys or MTV or something like that. I just remember that being
I feel like if it was the Grammys, I could see that because I feel like most people who are voting in the Grammys are like all old fuddy-duddies and they don't really vote. They don't really vote for the popular vote. They vote for, yes, this is the one that we enjoy. So I can definitely see them winning an award for that. But if it's like MTV, I don't think a lot of people on MTV are gonna be like, yes, Jethro Tull, my favorite band. Like it's Metallica. Like
That's true. Although if you have a look at their like previous members, I thought Yes had a lot of members. These guys have a lot. But yeah.
Okay. How, like with bands that like have been around for a long time, what makes them still the band? Like if the lead singer goes, then it's like that's not what people are used to hearing. If it's like the lead songwriter goes, it'd be like the original songwriter. Is that still the band? If it's like who is in charge of claiming it?
Now we're kind of talking about like the ship of Theseus, right? Or it's like if you take a board off of a ship, and you replace that board with another board, and then you continuously do that until you've replaced all the boards on the ship. Is it still the same ship? That's kind of the same thing with a lot of these 70s progressive rock bands. Usually it's the one, like you've got like a clear person
leader,
like a leader, right? So like for this, it's Ian Anderson. Like Ian Anderson really at the end of the day was Jethro Tull. It might not have started that way, but it very quickly became that way. For other bands, it's usually like you've got the one spearheader of like the writer of the music and all that, and then there's just like this ongoing shifting of members. The only one that I can think of that really like Yes is one where like everybody's been replaced at least once. So like even now they're putting out a new album this year and I'm like, is it even Yes if there's really only like one person, but even that one person wasn't in the original lineup? And
see, the the only way I can associate that to like pop music is like take Panic at the Disco, because it started off as a 4-man group and then it split to 2 people, and then the other people, like, so it was 4. They split. 2 of them started one band, and the other one were still Panic at the Disco, and then eventually the one guy left, and all it is like
the
one guy,
the one
lead
guy
singer, and he does most of it, but he still classifies himself as Panic at the Disco. And then what, you got like the Bare Naked Ladies, and then you had like the 2 lead singers, and like Stephen Page left. And I'm like, are they still technically the Bare Naked Ladies? They are, but I'm like, the heart, I felt like more of Stephen Page songs were no, sorry, Ed Robinson, but Stephen Page's songs are a lot better. Its vocals were a lot better. But I'm like, yes, Bare Naked Ladies. So it's like, what makes a band a band? Like, didn't you say that the Bugles weren't they a prog band? I'm like,
the Buggles.
The Buggles, yes.
The Buggles,
Bugles are a cracker.
I mean, they could be a band, but so the Buggles, they put out Video Killed the Radio Star.
Yeah. But weren't they all members?
Members?
Weren't they all, I don't know what member is. Weren't they all members from another group that just like, you know what, we're going to change your name and like release other songs?
Well, the Buggles joined Yes. And
okay.
So like most of the members, because Yes was down a keyboardist and their main singer, and like up until that point everybody was kind of like, well, John Anderson of Yes was kind of the forerunner for Yes. He wrote a lot of the songs and was the lead vocalist, but then he left for a little bit, and so that's when they brought on the Buggles, because they were also looking for a lead keyboardist, and they put out an album with that, and it was fine. Like, I enjoy it. It's a lot better than a lot of their other stuff, but like, and even using Yes as a perfect example of this, like when they were about to put out their album after that, they did away with the lead guitarist, and it was actually I want to say it was the bass player of Chris Squire and John Anderson, the members of the Buggles wanted to do this whole second project, and they didn't want to do a Yes album. But then when they couldn't find a singer, they asked John Anderson to be on there, and he says, sure, I'll continue it. And they decided from the record studio standpoint to continue with the Yes name, because there was enough members from Yes to continue that band, even though like half of them from it's such an interesting,
it's a big old tangent that we got out of nowhere, but I'm just, but like,
it is a really interesting idea. Like I almost think of like a band in certain respects of like their own little country, and that what makes a country and what makes a nation. It's like, it's a shared history, it's a shared musical style. In that sense, I think that's what a band is. You know, it's a band with a shared history, with a shared kind of like recognized language, in that sense being like a musical expression, because bands evolve and change all the time.
Like take Genesis, for example. It's like you got the Peter Gabriel Genesis, and then you got the Phil Collins Genesis, and I'm like, to me those are both Genesis. Not that I listen to Genesis often, but like, is Phil Collins, no, neither of them are in that band. So I'm like, is Genesis still Genesis if the lead singers are
that was
not
it, because the last album Genesis put out didn't have either of them on. Like, the last album Genesis put out was just the 2 of them. It was Michael Rutherford and Tony Banks.
Well, it's kind of like Queen too, where it's like Queen was Freddie Mercury. I mean, the 3 of them, I mean, the 4 of them were all Queen, but Freddie Mercury was Queen, and then like and then, and so it's like, they're still Queen, but are they Queen because they're just getting random lead singers in? So I know this is like, we have gone way off the deep end for me asking if Jethro Tull still Jethro Tull. But it's a very interesting.
It is a very interesting question.
So
I think at the end of the day, it's the ship of Theseus paradox. So
it has to be, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably I was gonna say user's preference, but like listener's preference. Like, if you're the type of person that you're like, I like this band when these people were in it, then
Yeah.
I consider that the band. But then when they change it, it's like, it's still, I guess you can go by the band, but it's not like what I want.
so many really interesting examples. Like the one that I'm thinking of is like Spock's beard. They've gone through a whole lot of different musical artists, to the point where a number of those who were in the band that were no longer in the band, and some of them might even still be in the band, created their own band called Pattern Seeking Animals. And they sound
See, that makes sense
similar.
to me, because it doesn't matter if they sound similar, but it's just like,
it's a different band. They wouldn't be recording under the Spock's Beard name, even though they all were members of Spock's Beard.
Yeah. Well, I feel like as long as one member is just there as like an anchor point, I guess it kind of counts, right?
Yeah.
Like even if they're not original, if like the original band brought them in and then every other original member left, but like this one person's like, I'm here still.
I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah. So so in conclusion, we both like these albums.
We did, yes. In conclusion, I liked McFly, you like Jethro Tull.
Yeah, so that's actually like gold stars for both of us then.
Gold stars for both of us. Good job, us.
Good us.
Yeah. Which just means next time I'm going to have to work a little bit harder to find an album that you probably won't enjoy.
That's not the main point of this.
That's not the main point. No, I got to balance it off, you know?
Well, then I'm going to have to be like, shit, what album will I know he hates?
And then I'll show you, I'll end up loving it. I'll be like, oh, this is great.
I know. I don't know if that would be like a win for me or not, to get you to actually like love an album.
Yeah.
Never gonna happen.
No. Well, you never know. You never know. So is there anything you want to promote? Anything you want to let the listener and watcher
More people should listen to McFly. That's what I'm promoting.
the word of McFly.
The word of McFly.
The word of McFly, yeah. And if you want to follow the show, I've got a Twitter account. It's Prog Quo. If you want to find me on Instagram, it's Quid Prog Quo. If you want to find out more of what I do, I've got, my main YouTube of Notes Review. I've got the tabletop role-playing game of Notes on Role-Playing Game. And yeah, hopefully I can get my acting gear and get my second podcast off the ground, because I've been working on that for almost a year now and it just hasn't seen the light. So we'll see, maybe eventually.
Yeah, that's burnout, Michael. We've had this discussion.
What are you talking about? I need to do more.
You're allowed to have a break. Okay.
No. Never. I gotta learn how to play the Star Trek role-playing game.
Oh my god, you need some downtime, man. Just like veg out.
I've tried. I don't like it. The entire time, I'm like, I gotta do things.
Like, oh, I have to. Yeah, no. I'd rather just like, I did nothing today. Just my day off.
You did this.
This great time.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Yeah, I gotta hang out with you for a couple of hours, so that's always great.
Always great.
But I just have to sit here and listen to music and talk to you. Not hard work at all.
No. Well, we better end it here. Thank you so much for coming on board. And
you're welcome.
We'll see you next time, because I know I'll have you back on.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, you can't get away with me. You've been friends with me for this long. You're never gonna escape.
No, it's true. Okay. This has been Quid Prog Quo, and just keep sharing music.
Okay.